Hello, this is Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to use a digital stamp as a painting pattern. Here I have an image from the Seaside Sketches collection from Lindsay Stamp Stuff, available at mygraphico.com. And what I've done is I've taken one of the scenes and I've printed it on text weight paper. That's the thin typing paper. And I also am going to use a Strathmore greeting card. It's 5 inches by 7 inches. It's basically a watercolor paper that's been folded in half. And I have some graphite paper that I have placed under my drawing and on top of my watercolor paper. So I'm simply going to make sure it's lined up, and I'm going to trace my design. I'm using a pen. You could use a colored pencil or a contrasting colored pen so you can see where you've traced. I'm just very quickly putting in my lines here so I can get to painting. You could trace every detail if that makes you more comfortable. I'm just going to get a few basic lines in to get me started. Tracing these rocks. And you don't have to be too neat. You're going to do a lot of the work with the paint, so you don't have to be too fussy with that. Alright, I'm going to peek under here. I can see that my drawing has transferred, and I'm just going to set this aside. Now, since I'm painting outside, it's pretty warm. I think I can get this done pretty quickly. The first thing I'm going to do is just wet the sky area, because the paint's only going to go where the paper is wet. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of ultramarine blue and put my palette in here a little bit closer to make sure you can see it. Kind of painting sideways here, so this is new for me. And I'm not covering it completely. I want to leave a little bit of room for clouds to show through. I'm taking a little yellow ochre because I want to have it warmed up a little bit closer to the horizon. And I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm going to let it blend and dry how it wants to. It's pretty. I'm going to also wet the water area with clear water. And I'm going to quickly go in with some ultramarine blue. And let those colors spread a little bit. Don't worry if your color seems to get a little out of control. And take a little bit of brown. This is burnt sienna. I'm going to mix it with my blue so I can get a nice dark gray. And I'm going to add that into the water too. The scene is from Maine, and we don't have that turquoise water up here. We have more of a steely gray blue water at the ocean. Now, if your paint goes where you don't want it to, you can simply take a paper towel or a rag and just blot it out. I've got a cotton rag here that I like to use. I'm going to wet the area up here where there's trees. I'm going to put a little sap green in it. It's one of my favorite greens. My sky's already dry because I'm painting outside and it's nice and warm out. Painting around my little house. I'm just going to throw in some yellow ochre dabs. I'm going to just use a few colors. I don't want to use too many because when you add more colors you have the risk of having discord in your piece, and this will keep everything matching and harmonious if we keep using the same colors over and over again. I'm going to use that yellow ochre and that brown I used earlier to make our gray. I'm going to mix the yellow ochre and brown together. I'm going to get a sandy color. And then to cool it down a little bit, I'm going to add some of that gray that we mixed with the earlier water. I'm just going to go in and add that into the beachy areas of the picture. Going very quickly here. You, of course, could take your time. And that little mountain in the background, I'm going to take that blue-gray. I'm going to add just a touch of crimson so it gets a little bit more purpley. And that will help it push back into the distance. And I'm going to paint that mountain way back there. I realize you're probably watching this sideways, and sorry about that. The limitations of my camera skills and my painting skills. And I'll add a little of that in the waters to give it a reflection. And then I'll take a little bit of that green and also add it into the water down here to give it a little reflection too. I normally would take a little more time with this, but I want it to be under 10 minutes so it can be in a YouTube video. Alright, to do the rocks, again we're going to use brown. We're going to use our ultramarine blue, that'll give us a nice gray. If you want it browner, add more brown. If you want it grayer, add more blue. And I'm just going to kind of paint in the shadows on my rocks. You can add more rocks if you want them. I'm just going to dab in a few. For the tops of my rocks, I'm going to do a little yellow ochre and brown. It's like kind of where the sun's hitting it. And there's a neat little trick that I like to use. Whenever I have to throw away an expired credit card, or if I get one of those gift cards and they're all used up, or if I get those, the pretend credit cards in the mail where they want you to sign up, I cut them up and then I use them for paint scrapers, and it's a really great way to get rocks. Just kind of scrape it a little bit, and it really does look like rocks. On my blog I'll have a picture of the completed cards. You can get a better look and print it if you want to. You can also use these credit cards to scrape details like veins in the rocks. Give a nice texture. And I think I'm going to use them in our trees up here too. We got a lot of pine trees in the state of Maine. So I'm going to take my green, I'm going to add a little crimson to it to really darken it up. Those pines are dark, dark, dark green. And I'm going to paint in some pine trees. Just the tip of my brush. Oh, there goes my graphite paper just flew away. Kind of breezy here today, outside. Got no control over the elements. You can make your trees taller or shorter, however you want them to be. Here I'm just going to paint them in. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's squirrels chirping in the background and cars going by. Alright. If you want to put in a few branches, you can do that too for some trees that are closer by. It's up to you, whatever you feel like doing. You can add some rocks over here at the edge of this island if you want. This little inlet. It's your painting, do whatever you like. But it really, if you've been collecting digital stamps, you probably have a lot of stamps you could use in this fashion. Add a little more. Oops, wrong green. Another bush over here. I tap my brush just to give it little speckles of green. Again, blot it. If you get paint where you don't want it, just simply blot. It'll go away. I'm going to paint my little cabin, which I'm going to make red. I'm going to use that same red I was using to darken my green. Those are in crimson. You can use whatever red you want. Just try to keep it the same red throughout the painting so you have harmony. There's a little black roof. That black, of course, is a mixture of my ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna brown. I should really wait a little bit longer for this to dry, but I'm going to try to do this quickly for the video here. And I'm just adding a little definition to some of my rocks. If you want, you can put a few birds in the sky. And that's just about all there is to it. You can go back through and add more details you want, add more rocks, whatever. Something else I like to do is take some of the brown that I've been working with and just kind of speckle it. Gives me a nice sandy look. It's nice to have an old brush around to do this with too. It works better. And there you have it. There is a hand-painted watercolor card that you can do easy as pie with the digital stamps you already own. Thank you for watching and have a great day.